Good morning and welcome back to Build with the Boys. Today we have got the next 4 parts of, I gotta admit, the fairly dull Ironman build. Now, I am a little bit harsh on Ironman. The reason why is because there really isn't much to do in any of these stages, and we go up to 42, so we've already built up to 38 so far, and there just isn't a lot to do. And I think this is the problem. I think when you wait a month at a time for these things to turn up, and then you can just blitz through the entire thing in about 10 minutes. I don't know. There's just not enough. There's not enough there. It's very dull. It's very repetitive. And this is the problem, I think, because of the nature of the thing where it's a figure, essentially. You do everything twice. So you build one leg, which takes an age, and then you just go right back to the beginning, you build another leg. Build one arm, right back to the beginning, build the opposite arm. So the bulk of this build is the arms and the legs. Having seen France, who are coming toward the end of this at the moment, they still haven't assembled Ironman. They're still building bits. He's still just a big pile of bits in a box. And I think that kind of takes it away from me as well. I think with the other, certainly with vehicles, they build up and you see them build up. So with Ecto, for instance, you start with the engine and you build out and you get the chassis and the frame and so on and so forth, and you can see the thing build. This, build a tiny piece and throw it in a box, build a tiny piece and throw it in a box. And a lot of these parts, I think, could have been shrunk down. I think this is a 100-issue build, which probably could have been a 60-issue build. But they spread it out, and I understand why. I mean, it's a Marvel license, which ultimately means it's a Disney license, so it would have been expensive. So to cover the cost of the license, I think we can definitely say this is a 60-part model spread over 100 parts, because some of these would literally be the part is put 2 washers on and that's it. That's the entire. You think, okay, well, that could have been in with something else. And another thing they did, which was a little bit sneaky, was the first hand of Iron Man was 1 pack. And I think it was issue 2, so you got the entire hand. They then spread the second hand out over 4 issues, which gives you an idea of what I'm talking about. It's going to look gorgeous when it's done, and we're definitely going to stay with it. And it will be a fairly massive, very detailed Iron Man model when it's fully built. But would I recommend it? At this point, no, I really wouldn't. If you were a beginner to these things, absolutely. But if you're looking for something, I mean, this is the thing. I think the reason why a lot of us do these things is because we enjoy building it. So you'll always see the sort of comments on Facebook pages and things like that about it costs too much money. And so, well, you're not buying the model. I mean, I don't think anybody would walk into a store and pay list price for one of these things. That's not what we're paying for. What we're paying for is to build it, the experience of building it, and kind of the satisfaction that comes from, I built this. And that's what we pay for. So when you're not getting that from an Ironman, you're literally, here you go, here's put 2 screws in, that's it, you're done. It loses something. But I think that's just the nature of the beast. I mean, I know Terminator wasn't wildly different from this one, and I've seen with the Xenomorph from Alien that's being built at the moment in France. Again, I think they're on about 30 or 40 of that. France is like the motherland of part works. Again, with that, I mean, a lot of it is attaching strips of skin to model parts. Once you've built the actual head, the rest of the body's kind of fairly bland. It's insert 2 screws and it looks amazing, but I think the nature of anything that's kind of a figure or a body, this is going to be the case. So it has somewhat moved me away from going that direction. I want the Alien. I don't know if I'm going to get it. And RoboCop as well is actually launched in France, but the RoboCop build looks almost identical to the Iron Man build. Same thing. You're going to spend a year building 2 legs, and I just don't want to. I need something a little bit more. But I'm sure I might change my mind when Iron Man finally comes together and I see it in all its glory. I'll probably feel very different. But at the moment, we don't look forward to Iron Man turning up. Ecto turns up, we get excited. The Root Master turns up, we get excited. R2 turns up, we get excited. Iron Man, we just go, okay, I'll do it when I get to it. And that's kind of so what I'm doing on Sunday morning. This turned up a week ago. I was in no rush to build it. But I'm going to do it, and I'll take you through it, and I'll show you what I'm talking about, how easy and how quickly these pieces go together. We are just building more leg. That's what we're doing in this one. So we've got 4 parts, which should pretty much complete the one leg that we're working on. There's a little bit more to go on it, but we're pretty much done with this leg now. Okay, so this piece here is actually the back of the leg. It is the it's the shin, well, I say it's the back leg, it's the front leg, it's the shin guard is what this piece is. And putting it together, again, you'll see what I'm talking about, it's fairly simple. So our instructions are that we insert this piece into here. So it's on the inside of the guard. There we go. So that's in there. And now all we're going to do is we're going to take this tiny little bracket here. That's going to pop in there and hold that guard in place. Smaller hands would be nice for this, but that is a luxury I do not possess. And that, believe it or not, is pretty much it. We're going to install 1 screw. And that is part 39 complete. Now, you may have an idea of what I'm talking about when I say this thing is incredibly basic to do. But still, enough of the complaining, on to pack 40. Okay, so again, so the first part of this is fairly basic. We're going to take the leg that we'd already made and we're going to attach it to this lower shin here. Let's pull that so it doesn't go wobbling away. And then just using 2 IM screws, we are going to attach the lower shin to the upper leg. Make sure that's nice and tight, because what we don't want is a floppy leg. Okay, so that's 1 in. I always use 3-in-1 oil for metal to metal, which is exactly what this is. So these are metal screws going into metal. Just ease the transition of that. 3-in-1 oil helps no end. If not, there's a technique we can have: screw in, screw out, blow the swarf off. I don't want to do that. This just makes life a lot easier, and it avoids stripping the head off a screw, which is never a good thing. So there we are. So that is that section complete, and this is a fairly massive leg now at this point. So yeah, it's certainly big. I'll have to zoom the camera out to show you just how big this part is, but that's that part of these instructions done. We're going to move on to installing this frame and support. Okay, so we've brought the foot in. Now, the foot we made a long time ago. It was very early additions to this. The foot does light up. This was in one of the very first packs, the foot, in its entirety in 1 pack. And as I said earlier, when the next foot comes around, they spread that out over 3 packs, which sort of explains what I was saying. Now, quite simply, all we're doing is we attached this ankle piece last month. That ankle piece is going to go into the piece that we assembled in 38, like so. We then take this piece here. This is the frame. Yep, that's the support. So that's the correct part. And we're going to pop that in here. Just get that in place, lift them up. That's where we need to be. It's a little confusing from the pictures, but we're just going to pop this in place with 3 IM screws. No, we're not. EM screws. Okay, so we've got 1 in start. There we go. That's 1 in, so now we'll hold firm. Pop the other 2 in, and then we're pretty much going to be done with this one. Again, I mean, it's interesting now to see just how big this leg is, because it's starting to give me an idea of just how huge this actual statue, model, figure, whatever you want to call it, is going to be when he is complete, and he is going to be bloody big. The very surprising thing about this, and it's something we start getting next month, is the display stand that comes with him. You could, for an additional, I think it was £1 each month, you could have the premium display stand. And I looked at it and thought, well, yeah, it's pretty, it lights up, I'll go with that. The pictures of it are wildly out of scale, because again, France are already building this thing, and what they've built is humongous. So the display stand is huge, no idea where I'm going to put it, but it is pretty. And that's it. So we now have this leg attached. This goes over here, in case you're thinking, why does his foot look weird? I'll just drop into place there. So there we are, and we do have his leg, and it is massive, and it makes me wonder where I'm going to put this thing, but hey, we'll figure it out. So using my patented Pepsi can scale, you get an idea of just how big Ironman's leg is, which gives you an idea of just how huge Ironman's going to be when he's standing. He's going to be about 3 foot, I would imagine. Huge. They don't want to do anything with this part in this issue, so I would imagine that's going to pop up in 41. So let's get into it and we'll take a look. So we install the new part into the part that we got in the last issue, so you'll recognise that part. And then all we're going to do is we're going to hold this in place with some IP screws. Now, with these screws, they have one letter after them, P or M. If it's a P, it means it goes into plastic. If it's an M, it goes into metal. So there's no need to use oil with plastic screws because they go in very easy. And I think oil into plastic screws would probably cause you more problems than help. So avoid doing that. But definitely, for any screw that ends in an M, just a touch of 3-in-1. You don't want to slather it in it because, you know, the oil stains all over your model and you don't want that. So you just touch the head into a little pot of 3-in-1, and it just makes things so much easier. It really does. So one more, and then we should be done with this one. There we go. Yep, that one's not playing ball. Right. Let's find out what's going on with this one then. I see. There we go. Yeah, I'm a complete clown. It doesn't have a screw in it. I'm looking ahead to the one where it's asking to put 3 screws in. This wasn't it. Well, you live and learn. But that's that part done. So now we're going to install it onto the leg. And we're going to do that using EM screws. Let's see how this is going to go. Let's hope this fits nicely and we can just go straight through. There we go. So that fits rather flush in there. That's a good thing. And we are going to install this one with 3 screws. But I got to be honest, from my kind of ragging on Ironman at the beginning of this video, seeing this leg come together again reminds me of why I'm doing this, because it is an incredibly lovely model. And again, I've seen how far ahead France are, and they're currently working on the torso and the body, which again is huge, and how it all comes together is very interesting. And it will be interesting seeing it all go together. I've seen people that have had problems with this model where they've got floppy limbs. Really is a case of tightening screws. I mean, there's no, you know, there's no secret to this. When you put your screws in, tighten them up. Don't over tighten, you want to take the heads off, but you tighten them as tight as they'll go, because you don't want resistance to these things. So yeah, it's not rocket science what we're doing here, kids. It really isn't. But it's not impossible to get very badly wrong. So the problem with this one is all this stuff gets concealed by armor. So we hide all the screw holes away. That's a big thing with models as well, making sure you can't see the screw heads unless necessary. So because of that, once you've built this thing, if any of your limbs are loose, you've already concealed it in some of these armour plates, which are going to be very bloody hard to get back off without causing damage to said plates. So that's why it's important that when you do this, you make sure they're tight. You know, if it's not, tighten it up, go again, do whatever you need to do to make it happen, because sometimes there's no going back on some of these parts. That's in. So there you go. You can see the circuitries in there. Now what we're going to do, I think these things just pop in. I don't think there's any real there's no real screw where to do these. So yeah, all of these, okay. So let's get some tweezers because my massive hands will never get these out. So these are the parts we're going to be installing to the top of the leg. And again, these don't screw in, these just pop straight in. So let's see how these go. What I'll do is, rather than you watch me do the same one 4 times, I'll pop them in and show you at the end. So there we are. Those are the 4 posts in again. Looking really rather lovely. Which would work as kind of mechanical tendons, I suppose, for the leg. But it's looking really rather nice. Now these things are, the way they've done these is they will only fit in one position. So there's no kind of getting it wrong, because it won't go in place. So this is the part we're adding next. And again, it's got shaped lugs, so you can't put it in the wrong way around or anything like that. It's got to go where it's got to go. It literally can't go anywhere else. So yeah, I can see that. There we go. And that's that piece in as well. Okay. I think we're nearly done. I'm just going to check where this part goes, and then we'll check back in. Okay, so we just have 2 more pieces to pop into this leg, and again, they've made this very easy for you. I mean, this has 2 different size pins, so it's only going to go in one way. It can't go any other way. So you can trial and error this. I mean, it will go in. So it's not going to go in the wrong way round. So you have no real risk at doing this incorrectly. Because I've been there, believe me. You think you're doing something right, and it's worse when there's lots of something. You go and put in, 5 or 6 of something, and realise you put them all the wrong way round. Me and the kid built a Lego set over the weekend, and we did that exact thing. We put all of the parts in the wrong way round, and then had to take it all apart and do it again. And that was because we were rushing, because we weren't really paying attention. So when they make it like this, so that's the only way it can be done, just makes life a little bit easier. And you can see it's popped in. So these leg details are really making this pop now. It's looking quite lovely. We have one more piece to pop in. There seems to be an enormous plane flying over my house, so I don't know if we're now being invaded. So I apologise for the sound. And again, so this is the final bar that's going in. I'm just going to check where we're going. I think I can see where this goes. Yep. So we're just going along here, and this is essentially the tendon. So that pops in there, that pops in there, and that is issue 41 complete. That's all we've got to do. But I will say this, that looks really rather lovely. That's put a lot of detail to that leg. I like that. Okay, so fairly simple. We're going to just pop this one in there. That's it for that. And then we are going to use one of these screws to hold it in place. Again, we are going into metal. So just a touch of 3-in-1 oil on this screw. And we're going to pop this one in. He says, I'm jumping ahead, I've got to put a bracket in. Okay, that's the bracket. Bracket holds nicely in place. And we are going to pop this into place with 2 screws. Okay, so there's one. I don't go fully tight when it's 2 of these, because if you do, it tends to pull up and then you can end up with an awkward screw on the other side. So just fit them in loosely first, and then you tighten them at the end. I find that's the best way to do this, but hey, whatever works for you, works for you. These are tiny screws. That's my other that's my other issue with Ironman. The world's smallest screws are used on most of these things. And that is it. So we have the calf protector there, heel protector they're calling it. This is now going to attach to the main leg that we've built. So I'll bring the leg back over, put it in place, set that up, and we'll be good to go. So there is the part that we've just assembled, now attached to the leg. I can see what they're calling it, a heel protector now. It fits a lot lower than I was expecting it to. And what we're going to do is we've got two, they're called friction discs, washers. We're going to install here and on the other side, and then we're going to add some EM screws, and that will be it. So I'm gonna have to lift this up to do this, and because I'm working on a tripod, I don't want to film a green map for a couple of minutes. So I'll bang these screws in, show you how we get on. And that is those two screws in place. You can see we've popped them in there. We put what they're calling friction discs. They're bloody washers. But that is looking really rather lovely now. So you can see this lifts up and it all locks back in place. And that's what we're doing. So we will I'll show you the whole thing in its full glory using the Pepsi can scale, and you can see how we got on. So there is the kind of standing profile view of what we just built. There you go. Gives you an idea of just how big it is. It's looking rather lovely now. I mean, it's all coming together quite nicely. You can see the leg opens up. So you can see the kind of tendons in there and the electrics. It's looking nice, looking really nice, and it's looking huge. So again, I mean, we have to build this entire thing again for the right leg. So this is the left leg that we've built, but I mean, it is a beast. We do have more to do because naturally this isn't all exposed. All that's going to be covered up. And then that is going to be it for this leg, and then we're going to move on to the second leg, which again I'm not overly excited about, but we'll do a wrap up and tell you what we think. So that's it. That's just to sort of show you just how easy these are to do. There really isn't much to Ironman at all, and what I've just shown you is true of most of these issues. I think with the exception of the hand. Where you had to put all the fingers in, the pack where you get the entire hand, we had to put all the fingers in and put the electrics in. That was quite difficult. But then the subsequent ones, you just made 2 fingers. So it was literally 3 screws and the finger was done. But it's looking, it's looking big, really big. So I mean, you can kind of get an idea of just how big this thing's going to be. It's going to stand about, I don't know, 2.5 feet, maybe 3 feet tall. But it's going to be big, really big. But it's looking, it's looking rather lovely. It really is. I've got the other parts out to show you. We have both arms complete. There you go. So his arms are done. And the very first thing that we did was his head. So we have the head complete. There you go. He turns on and off. And we have the arc reactor, which because of the glare you're not really getting the full effect, but it looks really rather lovely. And like I said, it will look stunning when it's complete. It will look great. It's just not a particularly fun path getting there. It's one of those weird things. I don't know if I recommend it or not. I mean, for the actual model itself, 100%. If someone else means it's fun building it, no, it isn't. I mean, it really isn't. It's too basic for me. But again, I think if you were a novice to this or coming in, not sure about, kind of perfect for you. It's from Fanhome. They have a lot on there at the moment. But again, I mean, if I had to choose, if I could go back and I had to choose between this and Knight Rider, which wasn't available at the time, I'd have done Knight Rider in a heartbeat. Once this one's finished, we're moving on to something else. So possibly Knight Rider. That might come earlier though, because I've got another year of Ironman. Ironman will not be finished until next year. So it's and again, it's just one of those things. I'm very about Ironman, but we'll see. I'm sticking with it. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, that was just sort of a brief kind of view of what it takes to make one of these. And if you enjoyed it, I'm glad. If you've got any questions about it, please feel free to pop them in the comments. I'm very accessible. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you may have. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. And we'll see you next time. And we should have Ecto 1, but I'm not holding my breath. I think we might have Route Master before Ecto 1, but there's been movement on Ecto 1. We might get to crack on with Ecto. I hope so. Anyway, we'll see you then.